All right, so I haven't really gone through this whole set of ideas at once, but I made a slideshow. I'm just going to ramble about stuff. And basically what this is about is what our pasts can do for our futures. And I want to give a pretty specific definition of that word isomorphic that comes from this book, Gödel, Escher, Bach, by this cognitive scientist, Douglas Hofstadter. So we're all on the same page. He says, now we come to a central issue of this chapter, indeed of the book. In the introduction, the word isomorphism was defined as an information-preserving transformation. We can now go into that notion a little more deeply and see it from another perspective. The word isomorphism applies when two complex structures can be mapped onto each other in such a way that to each part of one structure there is a corresponding part in the other structure, where corresponding means that the two parts play similar roles in their respective structures. So, basically, for me, when I was making my website, I felt like it looked a lot different than other people's, and it was because I wasn't really thinking about it as a structured set of tables, but more like a painting. And on the right, you have a painting that I did that's all oil on glass, and on the left was my personal site. You can see how they kind of mimic each other, and that seems like a kind of thin way of thinking about it, but then also on the other hand, it's in the back you've got this sort of set of examples of Google's deep learning machine vision project, and you can actually go to this open source website and plug in one image and see it in the style of another image. This is Google's project for how Google can know that a picture is of something. So the main example that I have of this is my favorite living artist is James Turrell. He's a light artist that works with architecture, and he didn't set out to be an artist. He was a perceptual psychologist, and he was studying the effects of light on the brain using this pinhole camera set up in an attic. And so if I stop on this slide here, you can see this is a couple years ago he had a retrospective at the Guggenheim where he turned the entire Frank Lloyd Wright Museum into this light art structure that was basically the fully realized perceptual psychology experiment. And there's something really special about that because the way that it works is on this very bodily level, and it's something that was only attained because he was a perceptual psychologist. And so I think the more abstract you can make the thing that you're trying to impose on another thing, the more useful it can be in an isomorphic way. And for me, I got really obsessed with chess in the last year or so, and part of that is it's an extremely useful structure for just comparing other things. There's a lot of metaphors embedded in it because it's so abstract. And this on the right is Marcel Duchamp, and on the left there's a piece of his. He's one of the most famous artists of all time, the grandfather of contemporary art. In a lot of ways, he broke art. You can see on the left there's all these little figures in this piece. It's arguably his most famous piece, The Large Class, that kind of emulate chess pieces, but on a less superficial level. He would talk about the act of making art as playing chess against the piece itself, because it always responds in a way that you didn't expect, and it's a series of contingencies. And I found chess to be really useful as a framework for thinking about painting in a different light. And I'm really interested to see as programming progresses for me, the ways that painting and chess alike both find their way into programming. And so I guess just the ultimate kind of thrust of this idea is we're all starting this new chapter of our life very similarly to Duchamp with art and then chess. And I wonder how we can take what was special about what we were doing before and impose it on what we're doing now. Because I think you can never really think outside of a box entirely, but you can think about things in a more suitable box, and that's where a lot of the most creative solutions come from. This is kind of stuff that would be more of a typical way of thinking about an art practice, but I figured if I didn't talk about it as art, maybe it'd be useful to some non-artists. That's all I got. So.